Hello, my name is Pete, and today we'll be discussing the cultural misappropriation of Native American culture in American popular music. Throughout history, Native Americans have been on the blunt end of intellectual theft, racism, and appropriation since North America was first visited by Europeans. They have been victim to idolized sympathy, cultural antipathy, misappropriation, and being portrayed in racist and inaccurate ways in music as well as film for the past 100 years. Now, defined by Christina Giacona as the intentional theft of tangible or intangible cultural commodities by an outsider with the intent to be used for economic gain or to intentionally create a stereotype, cultural misappropriation has severely damaged the image of Native Americans over the course of media history, dating back to the 19th century with Wild West shows depicting them as a so-called noble savage. Even within the last several decades, songs have included phrases such as Indian giver and squaw in negative connotations, reinforcing old and inaccurate ideas of what it means to be an American Indian. Cultural misappropriation has negatively impacted Native Americans and will continue to unless major change and effort is put forth by non-natives everywhere. Now, singing Red Face is a good example of how people have culturally misappropriated Native ideas and beliefs. Disney has an excellent example of singing Red Face with a song from the movie Peter Pan that talks about becoming Indian. This is extremely inappropriate as no one group of people should be impersonated and dehumanized the way that singing Red Face has had on the image of Native Americans. Now, racial antipathy is the most overt form of cultural misappropriation. It is directly involved in the creation and perpetuation of negative stereotypes and caricatures of Native Americans. Indian giver, according to Giacona, is an example of this since the part of the phrase that makes it negative is Indian, since giver by itself does not have any negativity associated with it, and therefore the phrase implies that being Indian is somehow bad. It is stereotypes and misunderstandings such as this that have continued to be reinforced by songs and television shows, tarnishing the First Nations. Now, another way that non-natives have hurt Native Americans is through idealized sympathy, which is explained by Giacona to being sympathetic to an imagined idea of a Native American. Sympathies of this kind tend to generalize all American Indians into one group, which does not encapsulate the diversity of all nations that exist in North America. Taking away their identity and treating them as if they are merely a memory dehumanizes and delegitimizes arguments that support natives and can be used to further their own agenda in the name of serving American Indians. Despite good intentions, idealized sympathy can lead to bad results. Now, those who do try to help Native Americans may fall victim to cultural confusion, since a lot of false information exists that makes it difficult to sift through and find the truths. Cultural confusion has led to artists and songwriters, as well as filmmakers, trying to show support but end up reinforcing false caricatures. Johnny Depp in the film The Lone Ranger is a good example, since his character is based on the old Western stereotypical Indian, who is mystical and savage. Cultural confusion artificially raises the difficulty of trying to be well-informed to the point where those who have never been educated in Native American culture will be unable to distinguish from falsehoods and true examples of Native Americans in media. Now, blackface minstrelsy is a good parallel for how Native American portrayal has evolved over the past several hundred years and has deteriorated the image of Native Americans and has made it more negative. Blackface minstrelsy led to entirely false and racist caricatures of African Americans in the early 1800s, having white actors putting on makeup to pretend to be African American. Through imagined beliefs, songs, and other behaviors, blackface minstrelsy led to an inaccurate depiction of African Americans that still exist to this day. The same thing has happened to Native Americans and set the stage for Native Americans to be ridiculed publicly and misrepresented into modern day. Overall, the social injustice that has befallen Native Americans has led to physical and cultural loss of individuality and history that cannot be returned. Cultural misappropriation in popular songs must be stopped and can only be done through education and getting these ideas of Native antipathy that have occurred into the conversation so more people are aware of their struggles. Thank you for listening.